Guys, welcome back to another Talk with Bish. Really looking forward to today. Today we're going to be talking about compressors. This topic is one of those really hard to get sort of topics. When I first started to learn how to use a compressor, I was absolutely baffled by settings, and the faders and the knobs and stuff on the actual compressor. I didn't know what they did. Didn't know what instruments to use them on. And it was a really hard thing to learn. I got EQ a lot quicker, but compression was one of the ones that really stuck out to me. It's one of those really hard ones to understand. And the funny thing is recently, when I actually got my head around it, I started to realise it's actually not as complex as what I first made it out to be. When I first started, it just felt like it was a big thing. But in actual fact, all it is just a controller that basically turns up all of your low peaks and lowers all of your higher peaks to level out the audio or level out the track that you have. And it really is that simple. That's literally all it is. It's literally like shrinking the top parts of a waveform and lowering and hiring the lower notes of that same waveform and turning it into an even sort of dynamic range. And this allows for instance, vocals that stand out and stay very similar. Because if you're singing a really soft part in the verse, and then you're trying to play then you play a really, really high and loud chorus part, you then, that same track is then going from a low volume to a high volume. And obviously that's what a compressor does. It basically stops that from happening, and it keeps to the range of the volume at a very similar place, so that it keeps, say for instance, a vocal present right at the very front of your mix, because most of the time your lead vocal, your main vocalist, your main vocal in a mix is usually placed directly in the middle of your mix. Now, whereas obviously your background singers, they might be wanting to place elsewhere. You might want to add some effects to that and stuff like that, and that's fine. So compression really isn't as important for, say, a background singer, but for a lead singer, you want that lead singer to stand out. You want it to be on top of all the instruments, and you want that sound to be the same throughout the song, so that no matter what, that lead singer is always going to be prominent in your music. And that's it. That's the basics of a compressor. That's basically what it does. Well, that's the main thing. That's about 90% worth of what a compressor does. There is other things that a compressor does, but the main thing is that. That is your main thing. Now, in a separate video at some point in the future, I will be talking properly about compressors, and we'll do a proper tutorial on it to teach people that have never used a compressor before what it does and why it's important. For now, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Obviously, on a compressor, you've got a gain knob, you've got a attack and release knob, you've got a ratio knob, and you've got a threshold knob. Those are the most important parts of a compressor that you're going to need. Threshold being the most important, because if you place a preset on a track, it's never going to work with the audio that you have, because the threshold is actually what sets your compressor to actually start kicking in and working against your audio track. And this is what's actually really important, because if that threshold isn't actually affecting any of your audio, then obviously the compressor's useless, and you're just using your CPU power for a compressor that isn't actually even doing anything. And that's obviously not what you want in any sense when you're mixing at all. Is just a useless plugin that's not being used. So the most important thing is learning to actually being able to wield a compressor and knowing what it does. Lead vocals are usually what I use a compressor on more than anything else. There are other instruments that you can use them on, but it's all down to, at the end of the day, the mixer and what they feel is right for them, for their mix, for their song. And I think that's really important, is it's your own taste. And so long as you know and you understand what a compressor does, you can then go off into your own hands and start to realise that a compressor isn't as scary as what you first originally thought it was, and have some fun with it. Because when I first started, I was so scared to place a compressor onto anything because I didn't know where to place it, because I didn't understand what a compressor did. But once you understand how simple a compressor really is, you then, your brain starts to think, you know what, I know exactly where to place this. I can place that here, I can place that there. Might not want it there because it wouldn't work with the dynamic of the song, all that sort of stuff. And it really, even if it's just the smallest bit of compression, some people use what's known as double compression, I think it's called, something like that, where they take one compressor, put like a really small setting on it so it only compresses the audio a tiny bit, and then what they'll do is they'll literally just grab up another compressor on top of that other compressed audio file, and they'll just do the exact same settings again, or make it even slightly more. But that's the idea of that, is that you're then gradually just pushing the compression instead of actually just using one big compressor and compressing the whole thing, and compressing too much or too hard. There are lots and lots of different ways how a compressor can work, and in the future there will be videos that I'm going to put up about a compressor when I learn a bit more about it and I really start to understand it more. I'm starting to get used to it at the moment, and it's something that I really want to fully understand so that I can actually, one point down the line, make a fantastic compression video for you guys. There is already some incredible tutorials out there, but I'm going to put one up for myself, because hopefully listening to me and obviously you guys joining us will hopefully allow some of you, and I'm not saying all of you will benefit from what I do, but hopefully some point down the line some of you are going to benefit and enjoy learning alongside me, and hopefully you're going to get a lot better at your craft, which is what I want at the end of the day, is for you guys to go out there and make incredible music. No matter what genre you do, it doesn't matter what genre you're playing, or whether you're actually inventing a new one. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you are your own person, and what's to stop that? The only person stopping you from making great music is yourself, and that's one thing that I want to push you guys towards, is to make that leap, to push to that point where you can make fantastic music. And obviously, if you're already doing that, then keep going, guys, because you're awesome. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you for listening. Once again, as always, please comment and talk about your experiences with the compressors and how you started off, and we'll go from there. And again, once again, as always, there'll be another one up again soon. Thank you guys for watching or listening, depending on what you're on, SoundCloud or Facebook, SoundCloud or YouTube. And that does it for me. Thanks, guys, and have a fantastic day. Cheers.